We go through the futures rankings in the Eastern Conference. Where do the Hornets land? What situation are they in compared to all of the other teams in the East? And finally, we have a unique mock draft. It's June, baby. We got to switch some things up. We'll get to all of that today. Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free. We're available anywhere you get your podcast, and that does include YouTube. Doug Branson, everyhornetsboxscore.com. You can also listen to his other podcast, Locked On NBA, with Matt Moore and Hayes. And I'm Walker Mail. You can listen to me on WFNZ every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. So I was listening to the Zach Lowe show a couple of episodes ago, and the Charlotte Hornets were mentioned as an actual feature rather than being mentioned as a stray, such as what I heard in the most recent episode of Zach Lowe, what I heard in one of the more recent episodes of Bill Simmons, what I heard on CBS Saturday Morning Radio. Okay, that's the only time that the Hornets are mentioned is when they're catching a stray. But this episode of Zach Lowe, Doug, they were actually featuring all of the teams in the Eastern Conference, and they were going through the futures rankings. Where would you rank each situation in the Eastern Conference? And got me thinking with Zach Lowe having them at 9th in the East. By the way, Waz of The Ringer just started laughing at him the whole time that Zach put him in the top 10 because Waz had him in like the lowest tier. It was like 13th, 12th, something like that. And he was just laughing at Zach the whole time while Zach was like, yeah, this is the reason. It was like hesitant. It was dipping your toes in the waters of Hornets positivity, which you'll get shark bit. Don't you worry. Zach was trying to dip his toes in those waters, and I thought presented a decent case. But just before we get to the specific rankings, like, Doug, just overall thoughts, surface level, before you really start to dive in on future draft picks and what this team has. What are surface level thoughts on how the Hornets stack up with their current situation, with the future, with the things that might be out there on the horizon compared to all the other teams in the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I think they've had some recent draft successes post the 21 disaster. I think they've recovered themselves in terms of their draft assets. They've added other people's OPD, OPDP, other people's draft picks.
That sounds bad. Yeah, that sounds bad.
Oh, no. Hey, so they've done some other things as well. They've changed their entire management, and I think that management did a good job this past season adding players that fit some kind of identity that they are building around Charles Lee. I'm not sure. We call it Hornets DNA. I don't know that it has a play style yet. I think they've got to continue to add players, remove players before they fully sort of lock into a play style. But I think they've started to do that. Yeah. So I have more trust in management. I have more trust in the draft assets. We talked about in the last episode, they're a little cap crunched this season, but they've got some flexibility. They could get uncap crunched if they wanted to. It's not like they're locked into multiple huge contracts like some other teams that are not very movable. So all in all, yeah, I mean, I certainly feel better. Like ESPN last year, but I think Bobby Marks does the future rankings. He had them 26th, moving up from 29th. And so that would put them probably, in the Eastern Conference around 11th, 12th. So, to say that they've moved up to 9th, I don't think that's all that much of a stretch.
No, I don't think so either. And I'm glad you brought up our episode yesterday. I saw a couple of comments push back, like James Plowright. I don't know if he was talking about our episode, but I saw him tweet out.
Watch it, James.
I saw him tweet out about how the Hornets aren't in cap hell, that Jeff Peterson has been setting this team up for flexibility. I saw a comment on our YouTube section. Shout out to Nate Schumann listening to the show. We appreciate it. But I just saw a couple of comments pushing back on the bad situation. I don't think we were trying to illustrate a bad situation here in Charlotte. What I was trying to illustrate was a situation where it was going to be tough to see a lot of turnover except for trades. If you wanted to see a bunch of roster turnover, it was going to have to come via trade. They are not in cap hell. They actually have a bunch of tradable contracts. I think the most I think the least tradable, Nurkic is probably it at $19 million without having to attach something to it, and it's still an expiring deal at the end of next season. So yeah, they're not in this terrible situation. Just in case that's what you took away from yesterday, terrible cap situation, I should say. They're not in that terrible cap situation. So I'm glad you brought that up.
I was laughing because when you said least tradable, I thought, what? Should we consider Mark Williams least tradable because they tried and failed? It's one thing to say a contract is it tradable or not when you don't really know. You haven't tested the theory, but that theory has actually been tested and they couldn't trade it.
Sure. Thus you like to leave out the context for Mark and always joke with the Mark stuff. But well, the least tradable contract is, if you don't get 2 first-round picks coming back, like, can you trade it? For sure. Mark, probably tradable if you're not trading it for an unprotected first and then your most recent first-round pick. I would imagine it's pretty tradable.
And you have to make sure, if you trade, you have to make sure, Jeff, are you listening? You have to make sure you say, no take backsies.
You have to.
No take backsies.
Did you guys pinky promise? Like, seriously, you got to fly across the country and pinky promise with Pelinka, and then you can get the deal done. But if you didn't pinky promise, then you only have yourselves to blame. Let's go down the list. So I created 1 through 10. Okay, 1 through 10. Future rankings. Cleveland number 1.
I should have just gone OPP. Other people's picks. Why did
Yeah. You went OPD, which also sounds bad.
I went OPDP.
They're both bad. I don't like that either. There's nothing good from that. Cleveland is number 1. They have a few stars. They got some flexibility as well. They got like easy answers for what roster guys to get rid of. So Cleveland's 1. Yep. I have the Pacers 2. I think Indiana is set up really well. The way that they play, having a great coach in hand is also fun. They do have an identity. Pascal and Tyrese Halliburton really on the same contract, except for Tyrese has 1 more year left on his deal, but it's the same amount of money that they're getting the rest of the way. I think those guys are well set up. Nembhard, he agreed to a $20 million contract before he got this good. Neesmith agreed to an $11 million a year contract before he got this good. Oh, I know. What? It's painful. Pacers are 2nd. I still have Boston 3rd. Zach and Waz were talking about this as well. Like, yeah, they've got a lot of money. They got to figure some stuff out. Jason Tatum is hurt. All that's true. When Jason Tatum comes back, they're going to be fine, especially in the weak Eastern Conference. So I still have Boston 3rd. New York 4th. They've got a lot of talent there. I think they're going to be fine. Detroit 5. Orlando 6. Atlanta 7. I have Charlotte 8.
Oh, wow.
The purple and teal glasses, 1 spot ahead of where Zach had them. I have them ahead of Miami. I thought about putting Miami ahead of Charlotte just because of pure pedigree, but I don't know, man. I think some of that Pat Riley magic has kind of waned a little bit. It's worn off. Players are frustrated. You have Bam, you have Hero. Like, is Jaquez a crazy valuable asset anymore? Doesn't seem like. I don't know. Anyways, I got Miami 9. I got Chicago 10. That's my list.
I don't trust Miami's management anymore, and I'm not sure Miami trusts Miami's management anymore. But the problem is, he's a legend. Like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
You're gonna escort him out of the building? He is the building.
Right.
So that's a difficult situation for their short-term future. Long-term, somebody might be able to come in there and unwind what they have. But also, you don't trust the core that they built there with Hero and Bam. Like, I think you've seen the ceiling of that. And then you add Wiggins, it doesn't do much. Can they add Kevin Durant? Like, the thing about Miami when you're doing these future things that make it hard, same with LA, the Lakers, is that someone always bails them out. Someone always figures this out. Now, in recent history, you thought that was going to happen with Damian Lillard, and that didn't happen. So maybe you're starting to see the beginning of the end of that, and that might be the beginning of the end of Pat Riley in Miami. We'll have to see. But back to Charlotte, another thing that's going in Charlotte's favor when you look at the contract situations is that they are at least on one timeline, right? They're not dealing with, veterans on bigger contracts, super veterans, older guys. They're going to be tough to move. And then you've got to get young guys playing time. Like, everybody that's making a lot of money for this team are guys that you expect to play a lot under the current construct of what the team is. And so they don't have, for example, like, they don't have Kevin Durant or they don't have Julius Randle. Sure, that would make them better just on a talent perspective. But when we're talking about future and team building, that actually makes it more difficult for you to sort of get on track towards a Indiana build, towards an Oklahoma City build where all of the contracts sort of align. And when things start to go sour for Indiana or for Oklahoma City, they'll be able to pivot because everybody is generally the same age.
Yeah. Let's get to your rankings. You don't have to go 1 through 10, but we can get to some of your thoughts on, or what's the face for? We can go 1 through 10 if you want.
I don't know that I have a rank. I mean, I think I generally agree with your ranking. I wonder if Chicago is ahead. Although this Giddey situation, he wants like a $1 jillion. They've got a lot of tough decisions. That's the other thing for the Hornets. They've kind of already made their decisions. Their only decisions left are sort of like what to do with what they have. And so with Chicago, it's kind of up in the air. Like, do they go all in on Giddey? Do they trade Kobe White? But I would say just on a talent level, I feel like Chicago a little bit ahead of Charlotte.
No, I felt so. Miami and Chicago.
But the management is terrible. The management, like Karnisovas said this. I don't know if you caught this. He said you can win a championship with 9 or 10 very good players. Actually, you know what? Just because of that, I'm putting Chicago lower. That has to be management 40th out of 30. Like you cannot win a championship with 9 or 10 very good players. My God.
I know that's amazing. I think what you can do is you can separate like the line of delineation Atlanta and then line Charlotte, Miami, Chicago, because Atlanta's got some things going for them with Trae Young, with Dyson Daniels, and that you can flip Trae Young if you want. Jalen Johnson when he comes back from injury, they got some good stuff over there. All right, coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere.
We have a new pick at 4, a new mock draft, a unique, dare I say, mock draft that's out right now. We'll get to it coming up next, LOH. This episode is brought to you by Open Phone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had an urgent need, maybe for a plumber or a service provider. If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on, and that's why you need Open Phone. Of course you didn't wait. Doug's not waiting for anybody, man. We don't have any patience around here. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or computer. Open Phone lets you manage business calls and text from a single app. The shared inbox feature is a game changer. Your team can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat, and their AI agent handles after-hour calls, answers common questions, and captures leads so you never miss a customer. We need Open Phone here for the Hornets. Capturing a lead? Oh my God, that sounds awesome. Capture a lead, baby. The Hornets need Open Phone. Open Phone is offering our listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's OPENPHONE. Openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. More Locked On Hornets ahead. A unique mock draft, you say. I don't believe you. VJ Edgecombe is going number 4 here. That's the only option that I'll see. But if you want to try to convince me otherwise, what's the mock draft you have for the people today, Doug?
It's a big one. It's from Jonathan Wasserman of BleacherReport.com, updated today. It doesn't get any fresher than this, folks. The Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flagg. We knew that. The San Antonio Spurs, they're not trading. They're taking another point guard. You can never have enough point guards. 3, 4, 5, doesn't matter. They're taking Dylan Harper from Rutgers, number 2. Number 3, Philadelphia. What are they going to do? A lot of names floated to Philadelphia. Nope. They're taking Ace Bailey, 3rd best player in the draft. They take Ace Bailey. And
all right, so VJ's next, right? Like VJ's next. Let's just keep going.
The Charlotte Hornets, with the 4th selection, according to Jonathan Wasserman of BleacherReport.com, is out of Duke, a center. Khaman Maluach. Come on, man.
Okay. See, I was setting it up. I was going a little too hard in the paint with the setup.
You thought it was going to be Trey Johnson. You thought it was going to be Trey Johnson?
I was expecting Trey. I was expecting You said out of Duke, and then even then, I still thought,
like, Khan
Knipple. Okay, Maluach. Yeah, that was the process and how that all played out for me. I would be very surprised if Maluach was the pick here at 4. I don't know if I would say shocked, but I would be surprised. So make the case for this, okay? We can do this. I'll go first. Maluach, if you draft him, it's because, as you mentioned, whether it was for 2 protected or unprotected, however many picks, whatever, you did try to trade Mark Williams. So, okay, there's one reason. The other reason would be you do need just some depth overall, right? Like the other guy that you have. Honestly, the center with Mark that might be most conducive to winning basketball is Moussa Diabate with the lack of turnovers, the creating turnovers, defensive matching up, but he's short. We know this. So Maluach is not short. He is a monstrous human being, and you could be betting on the upside with what he could provide both defensively and offensively. So, like, I wouldn't be shocked, Doug. I just don't think it's going to happen. But it's the first time I've seen this in quite some time via the mock draft space.
Yes, you're right, Walker. The Charlotte Hornets did draft a center from Duke with a crazy wingspan and limited offensive skill set, and then they tried to trade him. So naturally what they would do is in this draft, they would select a center from Duke who has a crazy long wingspan and a limited offensive skill set. Yes, it makes perfect sense. No, it doesn't. This is absurd. This would be, we haven't done best case, worst case. We haven't done that podcast yet.
No, we haven't.
But I'll just spoil it. This would be my worst case scenario. The Hornets keep the 4th pick and end up paying $10+ million, committing nearly as much money as they're committing to Grant Williams, nearly as much money as they're committing to Josh Green. They're going to commit that to Khaman Maluach, who, again, I see all the physical gifts. I wasn't impressed with what I saw at the combine, particularly with his shooting, that apparently maybe is there. But it seems like he impressed some folks at the LA Pro Day, and he is moving up big boards and mock drafts. But man, at 4, that would be crazy to me. I think the Hornets need a lot of things. They do need more help at center. I'm just not sure that committing that much money and that high a draft pick to the center position makes a lot of sense for the Charlotte Hornets, considering how much wing talent is available right there, considering the opportunities for the Hornets to trade back and maybe get Maluach if they wanted him there, or trade back and get one of those other wings. This would be my worst case scenario.
Yeah, I've talked about this. I was pretty out on Maluach. I'm still not in at 4. I don't love it. I would rather have anybody else, really. But I shouldn't say anybody, but you get the idea. So I would not be for this. If you traded back, yeah, I'd probably look for somebody else too. So I'm basically out. I'm not as out as I used to be. There were some games in the tournament that I did enjoy. Now, there was a bad game at the very end against Houston. He was quite bad, and Duke ended up getting bounced. So you do have everything that you like. There is something on the other side of the scale to balance everything out. But if you bet on Maluach, you would be betting on a guy that has not played basketball for very long, where this is still very new to him. He is an insanely large human being. He's very big. The athleticism didn't show up a ton on the combine. I think it does show up a little bit more on tape. I think offensively, as much as I thought, okay, I'm out on the shot, I think it's actually more there than it is with these other centers that we try to prop up as potential floor spacers for these other guys. More here than it is with some of these other guys that we've talked about before. Maybe it never pans out. You might be right, but it'd be something where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to completely write it off. The one big difference between he and Mark Williams, Khaman is much bigger in terms of his weight. Like, Khaman is a monster. I don't think he would get pushed around nearly as much. I don't think he did get pushed around nearly as much in college, which I know is the thing that drives you the most crazy about Mark. Khaman is not going to give up as much positioning as much as Mark is. And I think that's the sell. If you're looking for the big difference between those two, it would be Mark is not going to get pushed all the way to the baseline, or Maluach is not going to, like Mark might. That's the big difference to me.
Are you saying we wouldn't be doing weight Maluachers? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
We don't have to do that.
No,
that would be
we
good.
have to do that with Mark.
Here's what Jonathan Wasserman writes here. Workouts also create an opportunity for Maluach to showcase shot-making skill that was masked during the season with Duke, unquote.
Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead. My bad.
We can't do this again. I've gone through this with Cody Zeller. I've gone through this with Mark Williams. We cannot just keep running into the same brick wall over and over. Let some other team bank on it. And then if a guy shows some shooting skills in the G League or shows some shooting skills as a fringe rotation player for another team, then go get that guy. I'm just tired of betting on the guy. Oh, the team masked the skill. No, maybe the skill not being there masked the skill. I'm just like, I'm tired. I can't do this again. I cannot do this. This will make me go crazy. This team has already turned me into the Joker. I don't know what's beyond the Joker. So Batman fans, Batman aficionados, tell me what is beyond the Joker, because that's what this pick would turn me into.
I don't know. What is her name? What's the girl's name? Is it Harley? Like I
Harley
forget her
Quinn.
name.
This would turn me into Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn is pretty crazy, I would say. So maybe that's one. I don't know, but that's basically the Joker, the girl version. So you would just be the Joker.
I'm gonna buy a Harley and take a cross country road trip. That's what, and get on some really good psychedelics. That's what this pick would do to me.
I think the sell, though, like I think for me, the sell has been harder for Klingon and Kessler. Like those are the guys. I am with you for the most part, like, because I don't want to try this out either. I don't want to experiment with this either with Maluach. I just remember it being so overt with Klingon and Kessler. Oh, Roy Williams, they refused to let him shoot. They just never let him do it. And then Kessler goes to Auburn, also doesn't shoot very well. And then he goes to Utah. And then I don't know if he started showing it a little bit more. But same thing with Klingon, where it's like, all right, let somebody else do it, man. I am with you on that.
Context matters. Like in that draft, I would have been more willing to take the risk on a guy like Klingon because the draft was so weak. If there weren't other talent, this would be a different conversation. Yeah. If VJ Edgecombe didn't exist, if Trey Johnson didn't exist, if Con Knippel didn't exist, and if the Hornets didn't need some of what they offer at the wing position, then maybe we would have a different conversation here. And also, this is just such a, like, I've seen him move a little bit. First of all, he started to move down after the combine, and I guess this LA Pro Day started to tick him up a little bit. But man, I mean, seeing him at fourth, I mean, it feels like Jonathan Wasserman doing a little water carrying here. Maybe he's Jonathan Waterman carrying water for Khaman. Maybe he's Jonathan Khaman.
Okay. Working that out a little bit.
OPBP.
Our guy likes him. Rafael Barlow. He's a big Maluach fan.
I know. Well, he came up to me at the combine. He said, Hornets, what do you think? Khaman? He's been pushing Khaman Maluach to Charlotte for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on there, but Rafael Barlow likes Khaman Maluach, and I've seen this too many times.
Yeah.
I don't.
All right, let's go. Let's move on to the next one. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
He's everywhere.
I do have another question about Maluach, and maybe even have that serve as a segue to VJ Edgecombe. How much can we bet on tools compared to production? And then we can discuss some of the strays that the Hornets have been catching on podcasts recently. That's still to come. Locked On Hornets. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Let's talk about something that doesn't get talked about enough. It's men's mental health. There's this pressure to always keep it together, to perform, provide, and never show weakness. But the truth is, real strength comes from opening up and taking care of your mental well-being. Every year, 6 million men in the U.S. experience depression, and many go undiagnosed. But talking to someone, a friend, a loved one, or a therapist can make a huge difference. Therapy isn't just for crisis moments. It's great for learning how to set boundaries, build healthy coping tools, and be the best version of yourself. With over 35,000 licensed professionals, BetterHelp makes it easy to find a therapist who understands you. And you can connect from anywhere, switch therapists at any time with BetterHelp, and fit sessions into your schedule with just a click. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. More Locked On Hornets ahead. I do have a question following that conversation, because I was thinking about VJ Edgecombe when we were talking about Khaman Maluach. Nada came on with us within the last couple of episodes. He said the VJ Edgecombe defensive prowess everybody keeps speaking about, a lot of that is projection. And I've heard that take a few times. So I've actually been grinding some VJ Edgecombe tape. Like, what am I missing? Right? I have. Wow. I went to...
Your family misses you. They contacted me. They said, where's Walker? I said, I think he's grinding VJ Edgecombe tape. I'm sorry.
I've been hanging out with Steve Clifford in a dungeon. The only light is the light from the TV screen with the film on it. Me and Steve, we've been hanging out. We're not okay. Please help me. I'm blinking twice. VJ Edgecombe stuff. Like I took I took the games against the best defenses that he went against. So for instance, the last game of the season, Duke. Okay. I watched that one. I watched a game against Houston. It wasn't the most recent game against Houston that they had. I think it was one at Houston somewhere in like February, just trying to like get different timelines of what he was doing. And yeah, like I can see how people, think one, like the offense was not pretty in, I would say either one of those games, but especially the one against Houston where they just wreak so much havoc. Like if you're a freshman and you're a primary or secondary ball handler and you have the ball in your hands, then they swarm to you and make life hell. So he had 3 turnovers in that game against Houston in the first 5 minutes of play. Every time he had the ball at the top of the key, he wasn't creating any space. They swarmed him. Turnover. There was also another almost turnover. He should have had 4, to be honest with you. So it didn't go well against Houston. Against Duke, there just wasn't a lot offensively that Baylor was asking him to do with the ball in his hands. So a lot of it was a bunch of off-ball stuff. But then defensively, Doug, there was one bucket Cooper flag made against VJ, because that's something Nada was talking about, that they were attacking VJ specifically and looking to get Cooper on VJ and try to attack him there. There was one shot that Cooper hit above VJ where there's just nothing else he can do. Great defense. Cooper is gifted. He's the number 1 overall pick. He's taller. Hit a tough shot. But then there were 3 or 4 other possessions where it feels like VJ didn't move his feet well enough, so he didn't get to the point of attack quickly enough. Lets a guy drive right by him. Gave up space a couple of times, once against Cooper. Once against Tyrese Proctor, who recognized or saw an open space and then got past VJ Edgecombe. And so, okay. He's like the team defense. He does create a whole bunch of turnovers, and that's a lot of fun, but I need to watch more of VJ against some of the maybe just normal teams, like top 25 teams, rather than a championship representative and a Final Four representative with Houston and Duke that took advantage of him being so young. And then took advantage of some of his deficiencies. But I guess tying this all together, betting on VJ Edgecombe's tools, because he's got the want to, right? You saw the lapses there, but he's got the tools. Khaman Maluach, that's the selling point for him to some degree. He has tools. Maybe he doesn't have enough athleticism that you would like, but he's got the size. So I think that's the question, man. It's tough. That's what makes the draft so tough, because VJ, I know he's got the tools to be this awesome defender, but there was some stuff that left a little bit to be desired against some of those squads. I don't know. I throw that all at you. What do you think, man?
I think that Nick Smith Jr. this season showed a lot of want to on defense, and it doesn't always matter because you have to have both. You have to have want to, and you have to have the physical gifts that make you an impact defender, whether that's strength to guard with your chest, whether that's ability, just the vision to jump passing lanes, or the ability to get in there in those tight spaces and knock the ball away. Some of those are things you can learn. Some of those things you can develop, and some of those things, like people's shooting ability, are just God-given. You just can't even explain how they're able to do some of those things. And I think I've seen enough in VJ to say he has a little bit of both and could train up in the NBA under the right system. I think if you're expecting VJ to come in and be immediately in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation and to be, I don't know if there's an all-rookie defensive team to be first team all defense. I don't know. I don't know if that's possible, particularly considering if he is given a lot of responsibility for the Charlotte Hornets next season. It's not like there's a ton of great defensive talent around him either. And so much of defense is contact. So much of defense is some of it is who you have around you. I mean, you can't put one great defender around 4 other subpar defenders and expect to have a good defense. It just doesn't work like that.
Right.
So all that to say, what makes it difficult for me is doing that at 4. And I think that's been the most difficult part of the VJ Edgecombe conversation is like, man, if he were sitting there at like 7, or top 5, it is going to be tough. I think it's one of the better decisions they can make just because of how much help they need defensively on the wing. They need more help defensively on the wing than they need offensive, but just by a little bit. That's why I just have him just a little bit above Trey Johnson in terms of,
right,
fit or big board or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, no, I see all of that, and that's why I think I'm more inclined than ever before, particularly with this Wasserman thing's going to be in my head now. But particularly now, I'm inclined for the Hornets to trade back and just see what they can get, like wing wise.
Yeah, if somebody's willing to trade up, like the Panthers ran into this in the NFL draft. I guess their blueprint just was released and there was a trade up partner, and the Panthers decided not to do it. But it takes 2 to tango. Classic draft jargon.
Well, I think it's going to be Ace Bailey. I think if Ace Bailey moves past Philadelphia, then all bets are off, because I think there will be multiple franchises that look at that situation. I think Sacramento could be one that says, look, we've got plenty of room in the locker room. we're not worried about culture right now. We need a star level player. We don't have one. We need a star level player, and at that position, and Ace Bailey could be that guy for us. I think there'll be a few teams, maybe even the Nets, and the Nets have a lot of picks. The Nets have a lot of picks if they wanted to move up and do that. So if Ace Bailey moves beyond Philly, then I think the trade down situation for the Charlotte Hornets becomes a reality.
Yeah, and it's all fluid, but I'm still VJ Edgecombe team. Like, I'm still with that guy being the 4th overall pick. I watched a game against Houston. That is a game where you just have to understand a freshman is going to get swarmed by all of these much older players, these seniors, these super seniors who are hell on wheels. They are bats out of hell. Every single offensive possession that you have, they are going to turn you over. It just happened every single time early in that game. He did settle down as the game went on too, so that's something I think that's a point in favor of him. He did go 5 of 5 in that contest as well, but only 5 field goal attempts. I think that also tells you something, that it's not like he was the go-to guy offensively for them. So I watched literally film against 1 and 2 best defensive teams in all of college basketball, and then even offensively, they were fantastic. These are among the best teams in college basketball since 2000, like top 5 ranked teams. So I started there, and then we'll continue to work ourselves towards the average college basketball team. But yeah, just some tape grinding stuff on VJ Edgecombe. We'll continue to do it as we get closer to the draft.
I think it's all good, and I think if you combine the tape grinding with hearing him speak, whether it's at the combine or the workouts that he's going to do, he'll talk to the media. I think the impression that you're going to get from VJ Edgecombe is that he's super intelligent. He knows where his shortcomings are, and he's not afraid to admit them, and he's not afraid to in detail describe what he needs to work on. And I think if you're looking for a guy who's going to skill up, who's going to improve, that's what you're looking for. I think the Hornets have drafted some guys in the past. I won't name any names. I think they've drafted some guys in the past where I've gone, I'm not even sure this guy understands what he needs to improve on, much less has the willingness to improve upon it. And so I don't get that at all with VJ Edgecombe. So I don't know that I think I'll say this. I think my expectation, I'm not worried about the pick, and I think my expectations are properly set because I don't view VJ Edgecombe as a surefire star. I think if he were an Alex Caruso, if he were, I don't know, a Dyson Daniels, but Dyson Daniels has physical tools that he doesn't.
Pick your Thunder guard. Pick your Thunder guard that you want. He's one of those guys.
A single Thunder guard. That would be fantastic. I think the Hornets would be very happy with that at 4. I think the fans would say, "Oh, you didn't get an all-star level player at 4. How dare you?" But sometimes teams aren't built on all-stars. Yeah. You got to have depth.
And it's what's coachable and what's not. Because a lot of the stuff that I saw, defensively, offensively, I have a little bit more worries about that. But defensively, I saw a bunch of coachable stuff where it's not that he gets lazy playing team defense and then somebody will relocate on the 3-point line and he loses them. It's that he gets fixated on doing the right thing, and then he's watching the basketball, like ready to crash the boards. He's such a good crasher of the boards, man. Like he wants to put a body on a body. It's just, don't fixate on this one thing. I think that's coachable. I think that's reps. And then it is hard to project these young guys, these freshmen that come in to see what they're going to do, 3 years later. It's really difficult. That'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free. We're available anywhere you get your pods. That includes YouTube. Go check out Doug on his Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Also check him out on Locked On NBA with Matt Moore and Hayes. And then check me out, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3, Weston Walker, 92.7 FM. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.
Jonathan Wasserman, got my eyes on you.